get this straight. Put the lime in the coconut.
So, Dr. Tammy, why call it the Naked Doctor?
Well, it's the naked truth about health, wellness, and lifestyle, but it's also fun not to wear clothes in the studio.
Woke up, said, doctor.
Hi, welcome back to the Naked Doctor this week. This is Dr. Tammy.
And this is Cryssie.
And we're having a wonderful week. It is the week before the Christmas holiday.
Yes, Christmas holiday. Well, it's kind of been a wonderful week. It's okay, I want to be honest because we're always honest on this show. This week has just been, I feel like I got hit by a truck. I don't know what's going on. And Tammy, I love you very much, honey, but what's going on with your lip?
I have had some sort of allergic reaction or something. And the beautiful thing is that my dear, dear friend Ross Cook from rosscookbalancing.com is here. And
Yes.
He's here in this studio with us today talking. And if anybody can figure out what's going on with that, it will be
Yes,
him.
because your mouth is very swollen right
it's
now.
Crazy. Welcome, Ross. Thank you so much for being here this week.
Cryssie, Dr. Tammy, thank you for having me. It's a wonder to be on here. Thank you. It's
And
very
you're
kind of
laughing
you
too.
to share with me. Very kind.
Most people
Okay,
go to the
we ready?
doctor and they say, "Hey, would I eat? What made my lips swell?" And I'm like, I'm talking to my spiritual healer, and I'm like, "Hey, what stress did I have this week that
Yeah.
that made my
mouth
physical
swell up.
manifestation?"
You ready? Here we go. Let me just blast at it for a second. One of the things that's really important is when you have an event like this, an accident, a new coming off a cough, a cold, or whatever, or a big Kardashian-type lip, one of the things you need to do is you need to go back 36 and a half hours or precisely 73 hours, and about 80% of the times you will find a difficulty, a dark thought, a stress. Maybe someone's going to get on an airplane, or maybe you're packing and you're worried, or something shows up, but it'll be a quick one. It won't be one you lingered on long, and it's going to take that long to manifest from your mind body, which is bigger than your physical body and your spiritual body, and it's going to take time to work from your spiritual mind body, your mind body, into your physical body. And it takes 73 hours, or it takes 36 and a half hours. And in about 80% of the situations, you're going to actually find, absolutely, there was a dark thought. There was something. So if we want to heal whatever just appeared, you're going to go back in time and balance it. Journey within it. Feel the stress, the fear of it, really go at it until you can resolve it using balancing. And then the oddest thing will happen. The symptom, which is the lip or the headache or the injured knee or the whatever, the symptom was caused by that back there 73 hours or 36 and a half hours ago. The symptom will release because it actually doesn't have anything causal. When it looks into its own history, it won't have anything back there that was stressful to bring it forward.
Ouch.
And do you think that's
And it works.
Do you think that's the accumulation of those things that end up with major disease like cancer and
Like festering for a long
yeah,
time.
Oh, yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that our belief systems and our values and some propensity of our DNA, but very little, our learned patterns create environments, right? We create environments where certain, maybe I'm acidic or I'm this or I'm that, and those environments, if they're left similar for that long, create all kinds of problems and become hosts for illness and different kinds of diseases and dysfunction.
Okay, that's not cool because that means about, 12 hours from now I'm going to get sick. I had some crap happen yesterday.
That's an important point.
Okay, so you think I could diffuse this?
You could actually heal forward because thoughts are things, right?
Right.
And so let's say that's already in process in you, and you knew this was, let's say you go home and something really traumatic happens. You can heal that right then and go forward so you can cut down on what's going to happen a day and a half from now or 3 days from now.
Right.
You can begin
that
to
would be nice.
handle your future
That is
as
empowering.
well as your past.
That's being less
It's
reactionary.
about living congruently.
yes,
It's about living totally congruently.
Boy, Ross, that's good to know.
That
So
is.
Tammy, what's up with your lip?
Yeah, right. Oh gosh, gonna have to think about that in a minute.
I know. Well, actually, the way this week has gone, it's like a layer cake for me. It's like,
Yeah, what
well,
hasn't gone on
there was this,
week?
and then a little bit of that, and then you add a dash of mom, and then you take out. Bless you, Mom. I love you. But
Feeling very human.
yeah.
And I
You
think
know what? forget all the balancing stuff. Solve it with like an ice cream cake or something. And
Yes.
just really
Yes.
go right down the slope.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Addictive behaviors. We're going to talk about all that. And,
Yes, and
good
Christmas
stuff on the show today.
dresses,
Christmas
and maybe
dresses.
a little bit of Santa Claus
A little
talk.
bit of Santa Claus talk.
Yeah.
So stick around. We got Ross Cook on the show, and we'll be right back in just a minute with the Naked Doctor.
I need a doctor. Call me a doctor. I need a doctor. Ooh, 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 ooh.
Hi, welcome back to the Naked Doctor. This is Dr. Tammy.
And this is Cryssie.
And we're in the studio talking to Ross Cook this
Yes.
week of Ross Cook Balancing,
Mhm.
an amazing technique to bring emotional balance back. Is that a good tagline? Amazing
Yeah,
technique.
it's okay if you realize that emotional balance is at the impingement and the bottom and the source. It's literally the source of all your physical balancing because of your physical wellness, of your emotional wellness, because your mind is bigger than your body. So yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
It's
That
a
is
great
good.
place to begin.
That's awesome. So right before break, we said
Yes.
that we were going to talk a little bit about Santa Claus. You know, it's two things kind of come up this time of year that kind of trigger me about the past, and that is I think that it's so important to have authenticity and integrity and to tell the truth. And I understand that we tell kids these stories because it's an energy of, giving and fun and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know, there was just something that seemed so off, when I had my son, to never tell him that there was this figment, of his imagination, the Santa Claus that watched us and took names and, knew if we were bad, and I just never told him that. And so I asked him the other day, I said, honey, do you feel like I cheated you not telling you about Santa Claus and or telling you that Santa Claus was real? And he's like, no, I'm glad you told me the truth. I'm like, okay.
He actually said, I feel so scarred, I think I need a
Yes.
bite.
I think I'm
I think is
going
what
to
he
go
said
eat
here.
an
I
entire
think it is.
pizza. Now, in my case, I have always continued the tradition of Santa Claus. However, I have never emphasized and you have to be good, and he's gonna know if you're not good, because that feels a little like
Krampus.
like the element of religion that I don't care for. Of organized religion is that there's someone looking over your shoulder all the time judging you. That part I never put in there. It was just there's this really cool spirit of giving and love that always wants to see children happy, and we've put a face on it, and it's Santa Claus, and get to bed because maybe in the morning there'll be stuff in your stockings. Like I always kept it to that, and that made me feel a little bit better about that, because I did want them to have it.
I'm not sure if I can answer that question for everyone. What I do believe is we do have legends, and I think it's possible to understand legends for what is the genius of the legend. Why are we involved in the legend, and your cooperation and your understanding and your speaking to your children. We teach our children that you have choices above all. That is critically important to understand that there are choices and that there's many possibilities in any one moment. In our practice, we talk to people about, it's easiest to discuss as a thought bubble, like a cartoon bubble, but actually those bubbles are as much emotional bubbles as they are thought bubbles. Okay, so if we can say they're like little holism bubbles or something, then Santa is about giving, it's about kindness, it's about sharing, right? And that thought bubble is a thing. Think about how many people have been thinking about that for how many centuries. Then that is a gigantic actual event in the world energetically.
Yes, and that exists.
Yes, absolutely.
As a
thoughts are things. Are things. Emotions are things. And so to understand it that way and to say, yeah, maybe it's a legend on the way in, and we tend to personify legends. Many people will say Jesus the Christ was a blonde Aryan, whatever. People make personifications of what they know. That's their legend, not necessarily their myth, but it is their legend. And it's okay if you keep the idea that energy, big thought bubbles out there, big wholeness bubbles out there, if they're based in goodness, if they're based in wonder, if they're based in magic, if it's based in happiness and caring for others, that is an okay message to be pumping. Now, is the legend for a 5-year-old different than a legend for a 12-year-old? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we have to progress in our communication with our children through that? Oh, we better, right?
Yes.
We really better develop in our communication with our children. So, yeah, I don't think there's anything innately wrong with the legend of Santa, but you have to keep up with the quality and the level and the growth of your children in order to communicate that wholeness bubble of wonder and magic and goodness and caring. And that's what you're developing through that. That's what you're energizing through that whole concept of communication.
That is a very well thought out and well put answer. Seriously, and not just because I agree with it, but because no, there's a lot, and that you put into words more of what I was trying to talk to my children about. It's not necessary, and plus I feel like as a consciousness, it's okay to have some investment in those things that are not tangible. I think it's okay to expand your mind to say, yeah, I want to act. If I actually see that as the massive thought bubble that we've created, and I say consciously, I would love to tap into that. I would love to experience that with my children. Then, I feel like that's a cool thought exercise, a consciousness exercise to do, and I think it would bring it more into your experience.
One of the great travesties of the world is that we understand, we're taught, if you understand, I have to understand something, that's just a left brain trick. That's a neocortex trick. I mean, that's not even using all of our self. 2/3 of our limbic system is a lot bigger than the neocortex. How we make decisions from another place in our mind than from our elementalism of our neocortex. We don't only decide from our left brain. So often when you don't buy a car or you don't go on a second date or you know something's wrong with your children, it's an intuition. So the idea that we're going to understand everything, that we're going to get it. So I'm only going to live the life I know. There's a brilliant Irish song that says, God, please give me the audacity to hope for more than I know.
Wow.
So that we can live in something beyond ourselves and beyond our understanding. We don't understand how our heart beats, and yet it does, right? And yet we'll say, no, I always live my life only by what I understand. Well, if that's true, you're going to have a hard time breathing and having your heart beat and your brain work. I mean, it's just not true.
We wouldn't have what we have. I was watching a show, Star Talk, with Neil deGrasse Tyson. I've got such a science crush on that guy. And he is a very science-oriented. If he doesn't see it, if it's not proven, if it's, then it doesn't exist. And he's very black and white. But I have so much respect for the man because he is willing to, I don't know, I really think if there, I think even though sometimes people think of it as spiritual hooey, personally I believe at some point there's going to be instruments that can measure our soul energy and actually see the fabric of what the universe is made out of. And he's the type of guy that would immediately go, yep, it's all been true all this time. Like he wouldn't have any problem with saying, oh, I was wrong. But I was watching a show about their plan on taking some people to Mars for a permanent installation, not coming back, like an initial group of 4 people that would live on Mars, and we would just keep sending stuff to them, but the idea is that they would stay there. And he was talking about that innate
That'd be
part
perfect if you were on the run from the law.
Right, that's what they were saying. I have a lot of credit card debt, so good luck paying back those student loans. But that there is that innate nature in the human condition that we are okay, or there's a certain people that are okay with just venturing out into that unknown without really knowing what was going to happen to them, but we have to. There's something about us that has to. So how can we say that living your life only in what is familiar is good for us and for growth if as a species our nature has always been we have to go beyond that, we have to go beyond that, we have to just have some faith, and somebody has to get out there and chart that path because we have to go beyond this?
and it's easy to think about Mars like that, but let's think about maybe I have a sore lip today, and where did it come from?
And I do.
Barbara Dewey, one of the true magical, wonderful authors of all time. Her books are hard to read because she's kind of punching you in the nose while you're reading it.
Oh.
Right? But see, there's no such thing as an unexpressed emotion. There is no such thing.
It's going to come out
so,
somehow.
They're gonna show somewhere, right? And her second comment, which is, she's such a doll, and she's such a blessed person. And we were talking one day, and she said, I said to her, you have to trust what you don't know. And she said, stop, that's a great quote. Let me write that down. And I said, Barbara, it's you. You said that. And she said,
I know, that's awesome.
That's mine.
She said, wait a second, it's yours. I have terminal cancer. You can have it. It's yours. Trust what you don't know.
I'm gonna will you my quote.
So those two thoughts. So there's no such thing as an unexpressed emotion, and that you have to trust what you don't know right now in this moment. That leads to, this has to be an internal journey, because the only place we've encoded everything in our life, in our being, at trillions of electrical events a second, is in our subconscious mind. And if you read the hidden messages in water, they describe the vibrations per second that we exist at 42 octaves over middle C on a piano.
Wow.
Well, if you do the math, that's 570 trillion vibrations a second. So, but your subconscious mind has them all encoded, kind of associatively, in the metaphorically big file cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but they didn't go through our consciousness, so there's a lot about us we don't even know. We don't know why. Okay, I can ask you, what did you do last Friday at 11:30? And if you sat down with the other people and your calendar, you could tell me, but you wouldn't know the emotion that caused you to act at 11:30. You wouldn't know the urge or the history of your subconscious mind that caused that behavior at that moment. There's enough Marses and Jupiters in our soul, in our subconscious mind, for us to go searching.
Thousands, millions of miles away.
Every
Spend
one of
$40
us.
billion.
That's why searching within is the ticket here, and it's an infinite journey, and it's new every day, and
We're like
Tammy
consciousness
can
explorers.
Dr. Tammy can speak to that so well, because she's really learning that now.
Yeah, every step just builds on the next one, because I'm in a different space when I'm balancing than I used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not processing the same old stuff again.
Yeah.
It's like moving forward.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. It's
We're
not
building.
once it's gone, but then the next one goes, hey, I'm next.
And that's what you're experiencing. When
I'm
you're
sorry.
saying, I think I'm feeling evolved. I think I'm feeling in this good space. And then something else pops up. It's to build on that last
previous one.
The
It's to
previous
level
thing.
up, like
To
we've
level
talked
up.
about before.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to take a nap in between leveling up, though, man. And this week has been like,
Yes.
when somebody's got one of those things that shoots the tennis balls. That's what somebody's
Coming
got
at
it
you
on
fast.
high, and I'm having to. Okay, this question came up in my mind as I was on my way here, because part of what I encountered this week was, as soon as things got stressful, I fell back into my old habit of, you know what, I don't have time to eat healthy, so I'm just going to grab whatever will fit in my mouth right now. And I really don't like that. I looked back this week and thought, oh man, I really dropped the ball on that. And so I was thinking about these automatic behaviors that we have that seem to manifest themselves. And then the thought came to me, I read an article about a group of people, some studies that they've done on people that have had weight loss surgery, where they've had surgical intervention to lose weight. And in a large percentage of these people, or what looked like a large percentage of what they'd studied, a lot of those people had shifted their obsession from food to something else that was destructive. Some of them became obsessive shoppers, some of them became obsessive gamblers, and my thought was, what is in them that is so determined to manifest itself that it has to come through, even if it's like, I've taken away the food, you don't have that option anymore, haha, problem solved. And then it goes, oh, really? Okay, well, that's a nice purse. You need 12 of them. Okay, so what is that? What is that that's so automatic that must be expressed, and how can that possibly be serving someone?
Well, let's
I know.
Let's
Sorry,
an-
that
let's
was a lot.
answer-
Of,
let's
that was a
answer-
lot of. That was a lot that came out of me
May we
there. I
answer it at a
clearly.
few levels. If we can answer it at a few levels, not only there in the example you showed so brilliantly, but when people get a large inheritance or they win the lottery, it is proven in the 90th percentile, 3 years later they're going to be worse off than they were financially.
Yeah.
Because consciously, let's do it in words first. Consciously, they don't know the difference between a need and a want. And so when they then say, if I have X, I'll feel better. If I have X, I will be a different kind of person. If I have X, people will look at me differently. Well, what that means is underneath there are some aspects of their personality. There's some aspects of their character. And it doesn't mean they're a horrible person. It just may mean that they're being run by some child logic. You know, children come into this world and they're whole-brained, and then they discern that they need power. They need to fit in somehow. And they start looking how to get that kind of power. That's Adler. Adler talks about power in children. And so when you start doing that kind of work, those programs don't ever get deleted. We don't take the hard drive out of ourselves and say, okay, I'm now 21.
Let's clear all this out. Let's
gone,
run some
right?
virus protection.
So when people are saying maybe I feel hopeless, or maybe I have a fear, or maybe I have a limit that I don't dare look at because I know I don't have the tools, if I were to pull it out consciously, I'm going to walk around thigh deep in it for a long time, and I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose to feel well in this moment, which isn't well. It's just a learned gratification.
It's like it's
So
distracting
I'm
me
gonna
from
take
feeling
this,
so
I'm going to
bad.
eat a cookie. I'm going to put the sugar in my face right now, and I'm going to be like, oh, my goodness, that tastes good, right?
I
And
just
then-
forgot about my problem for like 5 seconds.
5 seconds. Or the other thing will do it is sometimes fears do it, or worries do it.
Oh, or
For
anxiety,
instance, remember
or-
we talked about a behavior. We talked about, in the last segment, we talked about a behavior, and then not knowing what the urge was or the emotion was that caused that behavior. All right? So in balancing, we solely seek those urges, those fears, those limits, those histories, and then we release the energy out of them. So that program is not gone, but it is decompressed. There's literally no energy running through it.
Okay, and
so now
speaking
they
of no
have
energy.
so that automatic behavior is not there. That automatic behavior does not
So it
fire.
just like diffuses it.
Hey, speaking of no energy, we need to have no energy for just a minute while
Oh,
we
crap.
flip to commercial and
Deal.
put all that commercial energy into
Hey,
this.
you
I
guys lay
know.
off the cookies.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be back in a minute, but
No
you
cookies,
guys lay off
dear.
the cookies.
That's right.
Okay?
Sure will. All right, we'll be right back with the Naked Doctor.
From the start and stitch up every tiny tear with a ribbon and a bow. Prescribe you some new medicine that makes you feel less alone.
Hi, welcome back to the Naked Doctor. This is Dr. Tammy.
And this is Cryssie.
And we're in the studio this week with Ross Cook. of-
Fascinating.
Yes,
Fascinating stuff.
RossCookBalancing.com. And we've just been talking a little bit
Like about obsessive behaviors or
obsessive
things you do
behaviors.
unconsciously.
And this is a hard time of year, and I know that there's a lot of stress as well because a lot of people bring a lot of guilt and shame to the table
Yeah.
too, and so they use buying a bunch of gifts and stuff to kind of soothe that.
Yeah, and there's
wound,
also a feeling
that
of obligation sometimes.
Obligation, so
Yeah.
that obsessive compulsive behavior can be multifactorial when you say, Ross, and then you kind of pull in an addictive behavior like shopping, and then you've got somebody who's completely stressed out.
Yeah.
I mean, I decided about 2 years ago that I was just getting off that hamster wheel. I mean, I asked my son for 2 things that he wants, and we get those 2 things, and that's it. That's it for the buying. I mean, other than taking my mom a box of chocolates or, whatever, that's pretty much the extent of it. And, my husband and I plan a nice vacation or something like that, and that's
Yeah.
our gift to each other.
Yeah.
And it's just not a bunch of junk. It can be really excessive, and I've had those
that's gotta
excessive
be
Christmases
a
in
bit
the past.
freeing because there's not the physical weight of just stuff for the sake of stuff. Well, Ross, I was asking Tammy earlier, a balancing session, what does that look like, and how, is that a time thing? You do this for 15 minutes, or how does that work?
Yeah, balancing sessions, what we do is we identify stresses, limits, and patterns in your life. And then we go back and we find where you experienced those things before, and how are they today? And that is a conversation. And then what we do from that conversation is we identify some concerns, fears, worries, limits in your being that are either manifesting in your health, they're manifesting in your personal power, in your self-image, and then we, as often as not, if you've been in a number of times, we begin to find what values are being violated, and we begin to cleanse those values, and we release those fears, limits, wherever they happened in your life. A balancing session, the whole session probably is a couple hours, hour and 40 minutes, but the actual balance you're doing is 20 minutes or a little bit longer. Now, if you've been balancing for a long time and you've taught the change rituals to your subconscious mind, so it's really paying attention, and it says, well, when we do this, oh, I'm supposed to change things, because now, think about it this way, we don't have much of a dialogue with our subconscious mind other than in dreams or big scary events like car accidents when we are going through our day to day. But when you've taught a subconscious communication pattern based on release and change, and you've been quiet, and actually balances are very stressful. We bring up the limits and fears. We call them dragons, and we go to those dragons and we experience them again, and we take the energy from them and we bring them forward and invest in a well now, a well value now, a baseline for me today, and it shows up with so much energy because we've disempowered the programs of the past. Eventually, you will be able to come to balance with a breath. You'll be able to come to balance with first identifying what's going on, realizing, is this real? Is it a part of what I'm doing right now? Is this congruent with my core values? No, it's not. Then we can release it almost instantaneously, and even a quick balance after you've been balancing a long time might take 4 minutes, 5 minutes. But that's after you've taught your subconscious mind that this is now a dialogue. We are now sharing with each other. We're now communicating about what is causal in my life and what is important, critical, and key in my life, not just living a reactive life. And I think in the last segment we were talking about people anesthetizing themselves one way or another, or intoxicating themselves with sugar or whatever. It's because they don't know what value is being violated. They don't know what is the emotional, the urge, or the stressful limit from their past that is causing a behavior. So once you're into the behavior, it's very difficult to change it. Here's the other thing that happens. The other reason people get exhausted in the holiday season is you get amped up, you get excited, or you get really disappointed, and your adrenals fire. And Dr. Tammy can certainly speak to this very, very well, but and not because of her personal journey, but being a doctor, once your adrenaline pumps into your body, it's going to take 28 minutes for that adrenaline to leave your body. And what do you think the chance is that you're going to feel similar thoughts or worries in the next half hour? Pretty high. Because when you start on one of those limited things and you're metaphorically circling the train, that fear is now bringing other fears, and that limit is bringing other limits, and I'm not good enough going out and getting buddies. And now you're beginning to circle very fast, and that's why we feel exhaustion. That's why we feel exhausted. And then people attempt to fix it with food rather than with hydration. They fix it with food rather than journeying within themselves to heal the cause of this problem.
Okay, I just got a really cool visualization when you said that, because I was watching a documentary on the importance of music to our psyche and to our brain development, and they were showing the concept of harmonics. And they were showing that when you pluck a string, let's say that string is a G, that the strings nearby that are within that harmonic range will also vibrate, okay? Just from that one string in that one key, all of the other strings that were in harmonic resonance with that would also vibrate. So my thought is, if I have a negative experience and I have an emotional reaction to that, it's like plucking a string. And then everything that's been stored in my subconscious that is on that key also begins to go vibrating. Wah. And that's a lot of energy. And it's almost like we were talking before, having too many tabs open in the background when you're trying to run your browser. It's like your brain goes, okay, now I've got to be working with all this negativity that just started vibrating through every part of your. Yeah, I mean, I can completely understand. So going in and finding those and pulling those strings out that resonate with that helps you to have less of a reaction. I mean, am I on the right track with that?
Yeah, you're certainly categorically correct in that essentially vibrations, and we're a vibrational being. When vibrations begin, they attract similar vibrations, and whether it's in harmonics or whatever. I really think a great thing to listen to or to read or to something is that Hidden Messages in Water, down the rabbit hole. Those explain, and they have pictures of those beautiful crystalline forms of things around beauty and people saying thank you and compassion and I love you. And then what happens to the form of things when there's hate or anger or I'll kill you or you're a fool,
right,
is vibrated differently. And again, you're going to need a lot of different things, but I think what you really need is you need a place to journey within yourself and to meet those masters and meet those difficulties and those limits and find a way to change them at their source. There's some brilliant ideas. Dara Marx, who is a brilliant writer, she writes about you're going to go through transformational arcs, and the one you get ready for at the beginning, the big trauma you get ready the first time, that's only teaching you skills that you're going to need when the big problem shows up. And I think moment by moment, there are a lot of things that go on in our life. That concept that Joseph Campbell talks about heroes' journeys and myths within ourselves. Why do people love Star Wars? Why are they out of their mind about Star Wars? Because it's a hero's journey.
Yeah.
It's a hero's journey, and we all, at a soul level, quest for that hero's journey. Now, there's an example of something I don't know about myself, I don't understand about myself, and yet I'm completely connected. I'm completely bought in, and they have been for, 38 years or something like that, because we quest to those journeys. Why? Because some of us want that other experience, that experience of oneness, of wholeness. Now, I said some of us, everybody can have it. It's available for everyone. It's not a group activity. It's an individual journey.
And there's also a part of that hero's journey story of that underlying knowing or always feeling that you are meant for something more, that you're part of something that's much bigger than yourself, that there's a call, that there's a little thing inside you that says there's more to it than this. There's something that I'm meant for, and I'm going to find that. And I always wondered that. I would wonder to myself, if I feel like I am meant for something, if I feel like I am special, if I feel like I have a purpose, or is that just something that's built into every one of us, where we just all automatically go, there was a time when I was doing personal searching and I had an epiphany. I walked into a Barnes & Noble near the first of the year, and there were tables set out. And one table was full of books on how not to be poor, and one table had books on how not to be sad, and one table had books on how not to be fat. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's just a marketing scheme. Like, everybody's writing a book on one of these three things because we all have one of these problems. And it made me kind of upset in the moment, because I thought how much of what I have absorbed, it has just been someone else trying to make a buck off of a known problem. And how much of it is really authentic. It started getting me to question that. And then I started questioning, if I feel like I'm meant for something more, is that just a program that runs in everybody and it really doesn't mean anything? It was right before a big breakthrough in my life, but man,
well,
in that moment.
Can I ask you a question? Could I ask you a question? Is your desire to take another breath just a meaningless program?
No. That's pretty essential.
So you somewhere in your history and your past have made a decision that breathing's a good thing.
This breathing thing. You should try
that
it.
breathing thing. That breathing thing is one of those things that, I think we value
awesome.
things. We value things, and we do hear group logic where there is cultural DNA that we want to.
I'm not arguing for this, Ross. Please.
No.
But in the
No,
moment,
but
it was a pretty big moment for me. It was
Yeah,
almost
absolutely. I get it.
Yeah.
I apologize for saying I get it. It was your experience. I believe I
No.
can maybe cooperate with it a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, you can ask, though, that Tammy will say that much of what we do is based on some pretty basic, serious questions, though.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's really, how did you arrive at that? Where did that assumption come from? You know, there's a lot of things. And here's can I share something that might be a little different logic? Think of this as a Christmas gift, different logic.
Sweet.
Or
Yes,
maybe-
bring it on.
Or it could be that Ross Cook is just crazy and weird and does awesome.
Oh, well, then
stuff,
join the
but-
club,
okay?
because we're
But
all.
one or the other. Okay, so here's a way to think about it. You know, we all say that I was thinking about someone and they called, and so we are I-centric about that. So we say, I was thinking about that. I walked in that store and there they were. What if it's our possibilities are aware of much more than we ever know? So our possibilities are already connected to the person who's going to call. My possibilities already know what's in the store. And then because I'm thinking those possibilities have some connection and some desire to be manifested in me, I need some help there or something along those lines, I then move in that direction. I then say, okay, I'm going to go in that direction. That seems normal. We see it as normal. We also see us as creating it. But in truth, maybe we're not creating it at all. Maybe the possibility of, there's many possibilities out there, and I'm somehow selecting, not only am I selecting, but the universe is helping and cooperating with me in selecting whether I go in that store or in that store.
Absolutely.
And that demands a certain level of humility in us to say, well, maybe I'm not running all this ship and all this other stuff. But, you know, Einstein said we don't solve a problem at the same level it was created. That is saying there's many, many, many more other levels and layers going on simultaneously.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think absolutely, yeah, some of it is cultural. You know, you're supposed to be thin, tan, in shape, and always 20 years old. Come on. You know, and I
That
mean,
seems
the other thing is,
realistic.
right? I mean, but that's what's sold to us, right?
No, all day, every day.
You know, it makes me crazy that when you look at Viagra, Cialis commercials, there's instantly 1,500 people, and your lifetime spouse is going to all of a sudden be as happy about that as you are.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
foisted on us, right?
Yeah.
This is a cooperative universe. This is a cooperative place. And so when I start thinking of kindness and unconditional love as a cooperative fashion, so that the universe might actually be trying to bring me messages about it,
Oh, yeah.
rather than it's only my side of the gift exchange, you know, maybe
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
something different there, okay?
Wow. I really like that, Ross. That kind of expanded my brain a little bit. Because there are times when I can, Ross, I'll be serious with you. There's times where I can clearly see how the universe is structured, how there's a part of myself that has a view that I don't, because it's in another dimension where time is different and all possibilities can be viewed and multiple universes, and I could go on about that for days, and that can be a different show. But then in that same moment where I have those mind-expanding epiphanies, I'm also very cognizant of the fact that I am in this physical universe right here, right now, and I have got to navigate. And from what you talk about with balancing, those are the kind of tools that I believe are necessary for us to help navigate this space in the most comfortable way possible. For the whole reason why we're here is to learn how to get around these obstacles like this.
And Ross, I want you to respond to that, but they're saying it's time for a break here. Just a minute. Dang it. Another commercial. But we love our sponsors. So. Hi, welcome back to The Naked Doctor. This is Dr. Tammy.
And this is Cryssie.
And oh my gosh, I just forgot what we were talking about when we were
Yeah,
coming
no,
back.
it was the multiple universe and really understanding that communication between that part of yourself possibly that you don't. I don't know, Ross, how would you explain that? You were doing such a much better job than I am.
That's why he's
That's
the
why
man.
he's the guy.
The guy.
He's the guest.
The
And I'm just the
expert.
mouth. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, Ross, now you were right in the middle of something really awesome, so we were talking about that.
We were just talking about that, you know, that Einstein one time, they asked Einstein, if you could ask the universe any question at all and know the answer, what would you want to know?
Wow.
And he said, I want to know if it's a friendly universe.
Ooh.
And that's a mind bender.
Yeah.
You know, that's a mind blower of a thought, because it demands that this is a cooperative place. And so often we get so stuck in our I now, and we didn't really create our now. It's a series of historic stories, patternings, behavior patterns that we then believe are us. And we accept roles because of it, and we do things, and well, then of course life is hard, and I get frustrations because of these. Most of those were just learned. They were just learned, and this is a cooperative universe.
Ross, are you taking new clients? Can people reach out to you at rosscookbalancing.com, or what's the best way?
Yes,
for them
I
to
am.
reach you?
Yes, I am. As a matter of fact, I thought we might do something. You've listened to a couple of my talks, haven't you, Tammy?
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
Dr. Tammy, you've listened to a few of my talks, and so what I thought I might do is, you know, for your people that are listening to this, if they want to write y'all or email you, I will send you one of my last talks. It's about the gap. It's about the double slit experiment. It's about the just different experiments that have happened in the world, and then how you core that into oneness, how it's bigger than us, and what is oneness, and how do we take care of that. The Spindrift study that we mentioned last time I was lucky enough to be on with you guys, the Spindrift study of where people studied and did a bunch of science work, and then they poured salt water on plants, and the plants died because they were praying with all their science knowledge. And then a bunch of other people, they poured salt water on plants, and they asked them to just please help it, just please help me, just please help it, just please help me, and the plants lived. So it shows that there's so much. But I have a talk, about a 20-minute talk, that I'd be glad to send y'all, and you could send it out to the people.
That'd be great.
Put it
on Facebook and our website.
If people would contact you, we can send it out, or they can always get to rosscookbalancing.com and read and listen to a number of talks that I've put out there just on various topics. And at the end of those talks, there is a shift. I take everybody through a change.
Nice.
Probably we do it in about 5 minutes, and we bring up a stress, and then we release a stress.
Great technique to have the holidays.
Yes.
Yeah,
Very
absolutely.
useful tool.
Absolutely. So I'd love to offer that to all the people who listen to y'all and to you guys personally. I know Tammy's listened to them, and I think there's a benefit there for some people.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for being here with us this week, Ross. And I
thank
hope that you
you.
have a very merry holidays, happy holidays, whatever you're supposed to say that's politically correct.
Hey, if you celebrate something, have a good time
Yes.
celebrating it. That's what I say.
And if you don't particularly celebrate anything,
Then
find
have a good
something
time
to
anyway.
celebrate.
Yes.
So we're
this
going
is
to
awesome.
celebrate a cooperative universe and a loving family.
There we go.
And just all, you know, and so thank you very much for allowing me to be with y'all. And it really means a lot. And you're doing great work getting the information out to people, and just allowing people to feel differently and to think differently, and maybe shape some different wholeness bubbles out into their world.
Yes.
You know, as they want to shape this new season.
Yeah, awesome. Reach out to Ross, get some balancing. Love it. All right. Have a blessed week, everybody.
Thank you so much,
We'll
everybody.
See you next week back on The Naked Doctor.
Yes.
Brother bought a coconutty, bought it for the time. His sister had another one.